Good evening, friends. I'm Dr. Vijay Agarwal, President of Consortium of Accredited Healthcare Organizations, CAHO, and it is my proud privilege to welcome you all to this very important webinar, which is on legal aspects of human resources and the labor codes which have come out in 2020. And the speaker is none other than Mr. Samuel Abraham, who is an advocate and a consultant and was one of the past legal advisors of CMC Vellore. I must say that he is one of the speakers who has been called on a huge public demand. So I don't think somebody needs a better introduction than the end user's confidence in that person's ability to this thing. So I have a lot of governing committee members like Dr. Patil and Dr. Ravi Kumar here also along with me to welcome Mr. Samuel Abraham. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I'm so delighted to participate in this very nice webinar today. I will give a brief introduction about labor law, number one. Number two, the existing provisions now. Then I will discuss about various features of the labor code with question answer. That will be doing justice for the webinar. So those who do not know anything about labor law or who are not familiar with labor law at present or HR, this I will give a small introduction of what we are doing in a labor code, etc., etc. Then within 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I will start talking about labor code. Gentlemen, in India especially, when there was an economical growth, there were tremendous various types of problems between employer and employees. In 1800, 1900, there are series of legislation which are all piecemeal. When the employer is not giving wages properly, then Payment of Wages Act was enacted. When they were giving very, very minimum wages, very less than their livelihood, Payment of Minimum Wages Act was enacted. Like the various acts were enacted as a piecemeal whenever there is a demand. And for example, Payment of Bonus Act, Maternity Benefit Act, etc., etc. These we call beneficial legislation to the workman or working class. This is not a common law. It is special law which are applicable to special category of people. So, to adjudicate these disputes between the employer and employee, it's a very delicate area where general law cannot be applicable. The Parliament, in its own wisdom, enacted Industrial Dispute Act 1947, which is giving all the prescription for better adjudication of disputes between employer and employee. The Industrial Dispute Act 1947 created Industrial Tribunal, National Tribunal, Labor Courts, Works Committee, etc., were created by an act of Parliament. The Labor Court, for example, Consumer Court, ordinary people call them as courts, but in fact they are not courts. We, in our language, we call it as a tribunal. That means these are normally the civil court and criminal court. They are created by the provisions of the Constitution of India, which will be succeeding years by years, century to century. But the Labor Court, Consumer Court, Labor Tribunal, etc., are created by an act of Parliament, which we call tribunal, which is not a full-fledged court. Application of Civil Procedure Code is not applicable for them. A shortcut method, a settlement. In other words, the courts are not strictly following Civil Procedure Code while disposing the dispute between the employer and employee, but just give and take policy. So, all these beneficial legislations created various type of tribunals in India, meaning an aggrieved employer has to go so many tribunals. For example, for payment of bonus, he has to go to some tribunal. Maternity benefit, some other tribunal. EPF, there's a EPF tribunal. ESI, there is another tribunal. So tribunal, so many adjudication agencies are created by the Act of Parliament or legislature, which confused and the workman found it very difficult. Now, after more than 50-60 years, in short, after independence, our union government had time to classify all these special laws into 4 categories, so that easy accessibility, easy disposal, easy adjudication methods are found. So, in one line, I would say, now we are having 4 courts and more than 45 individual legislations or acts were merged to 4 courts. Before now you understand, tribunal means 50% court, 50% non-court. Quasi-judicial, we call it. Quasi means off. So here, give and take policy will be there, prevailing in the court, and strict adherence of civil procedure code need not be followed. Just like a settlement, they follow. In all labor court or tribunals, it is officers will be presiding. One judiciary member will be there in some tribunals, and some tribunals only officers will be there disposing the dispute. And the tribunal has limited powers, not like judicial regular court like civil court and criminal court. Criminal court, civil courts are constitutional courts whose orders are binding, whereas tribunals' orders are, we call, award of compensation. It's an award given by a tribunal. It will take 30 days to take effect. Whereas in criminal court, if the judge gives verdict, immediately it is applicable. Immediately the fellow will be arrested and sent to the jail. Immediate effect. So there are great differences we are not going to see about the tribunal, but normally the same way Industrial Dispute Act divides the laborers into 2 categories: workmen, non-workmen. Please understand, all the disciplinary action, etc., will be taken only if they are workmen category. For non-workmen, they have to go to the civil court. For example, I am telling, in a company, if I am the manager of a company, irrespective of the salary, I am called manager. I am utilizing or I am signing or disposing the duties given by the management, then I become managerial staff. I am not a workman. So if I am having any grievance, I cannot go to the labor court. I have to go to the civil court only. So the Industrial Dispute Act divides the whole employees into 2 categories: workman, non-workman. Workman means those who are not supervisory capacity, those who are not managers, but those who are receiving instructions and working for a company, working for an institution. They are called workmen. If I am dispensing or disclosing the powers of the management, I am sanctioning leave, I am sanctioning increment, I am giving promotion for a man, I become a managerial staff. And if I am having any grievance with the management, I cannot go to the labor court, I have to go to the civil court. So labor is divided into workmen and non-workmen so far. So workmen will go to the labor court for easy disposal of this dispute so far. All retrenchment, layoff, works committee, all are given in the Industrial Dispute Act. Accordingly, we are disposing all the disputes. And if I have to go to the labor court, I will have only 2 grievances, labor court. One, dismissal or demotion. If punishment is given, suspension is a punishment for me, I cannot go to the labor court. Transfer, no. If I am dismissed, if I am demoted, then only I can go to the labor court at present. So there is a labor court, industrial tribunal. If his wage is suppose fixing of wages, if a union is filing a complaint before the industrial tribunal. Now it will be disposed by industrial tribunal constituted in every state. So labor court is disposing about the industrial disputes, but it is divided into two parts. In the industrial dispute, two lists are given. The list of items, if it is individual grievances, individual dismissal, termination of individual workman, it will come under labor court. If a collective bargaining, if there is a wages to be fixed, if it's a collective dispute, if it's a union matter, it will go to industrial dispute, constituted by the provisions of industrial dispute. Now, these are the basic things in India, especially in short, because of various enactments in labor law amounting to 40, 48 separate laws. There are so many tribunals, innumerable, and some are quasi-judicial, some are managed by officers, etc. A workman finds very difficult to get justice. That's why now it has been taken as just like a procedure law. We call it procedure law. For example, all the criminal courts are functioning in India as per the criminal procedure code. From Kashmir to Kanyakumari, same procedures are being followed because there's a code we call criminal procedure code. All criminal courts are functioning in that. Same way, civil procedure code. All civil courts are functioning as per the civil procedure code in India. Now, the same way, a code, 4 codes have been enacted by the parliament, and believe me, if there is no corona epidemic, it might have been implemented by now. But because of this pandemic, all the laws were enacted, rules framed, and it is ready for implementation. Here, one point I have to tell you, the labor comes under a concurrent subject. Both the central government, parliament, and the state can enact laws for the welfare of a particular class of workmen. For example, Payment of Subsistence Allowance Act. Tamil Nadu Payment of Subsistence Allowance Act is enacted by only Tamil Nadu government. Maharashtra Industrial Dispute Act is enacted by Maharashtra government, state. So, both state government and central government can enact law. Normally, these 4 codes are enacted by the union government, parliament, and every state government will frame rules and regulations to implement that. My dear friends, every act can be passed by the legislature or parliament. But to implement them, the appropriate government will frame rules and regulations to implement that. For example, Industrial Dispute Act, there are industrial dispute rules framed by every state government. So, now industrial 4 codes, I would say it's revolutionized the whole labor jurisprudence in India, I would say. Because there are valued plus points for the laborers, there are good things for the employer. When the balance of convenience is hanging, normally this is very favorable to the employer. Now, as a hospital, as an employer, an extra information I would also say, in the industrial dispute, originally there was a very limited scope for industrial dispute. In the Act, it never included hospital administration, even never included the educational institutions. But in 1974, there was a Bangalore water supply and sewerage case. The Supreme Court, especially under Krishna Iyer, expanded the meaning of industrial dispute in such a way it will cover small industry and even the trusts, educational trust, even the manufacturing unit of Tirupati Laddu also. Even clubs, cosmopolitan clubs, societies, all were included. But I would say originally, hospitals, education institutions, all were excluded. They were not included under the Dispute Act. Now, after that, subsequently, at present, I am telling, even now there is a case pending where 9-judge bench were constituted. 9-judge bench of the Supreme Court were constituted to go and define industrial dispute, because the present definition includes each and small industry. Subsequently, they find it very difficult to follow the rules and regulations and the arbitration, etc. For a small employer with 50 workmen, 100 workmen, they suffer a lot. So the Supreme Court, in its own wisdom, has expanded 9-judge benches, but still it is pending. Meanwhile, we are having 4 labor courts, which we are going to see quickly. Before that, you have to understand the concept. Normally, you will be knowing, but I want to make it a brush. We are having 2 things, 2 principles in engaging a man for employment in a company, which we call employing for service, employment of service. I am employing a man, he is in the service for his service, or employing this man of his service, which we call in industrial rules, we call it employment of service, employment for service. What is that, sir? Employment of service. Listen to me very carefully. This principle is very important. I am a doctor. I am applying for a position by giving all the qualifications, experience, etc. And I am also giving my previous employer, employment, salary, etc., etc. I am giving full picture to an employer. He goes through the biodata and he wants to take me as an employee. That means employment of service. So now he recruited me. He does not know about my service. Only after joining, based on my merit, based on my qualification, based on my all my circumstances, etc., he knows my output. But at present, when he is employing me, he is employing me as a person, hoping and trusting that I will give very good service to his organization. This we call, he is employing, suppose I am the doctor, he is employing Samuel Abraham as a person, hoping that I will give all my best services. Employing me, so employment of service. And he is giving monthly salary. And I am getting salary. In turn, I am giving my service. Quid pro non. A is giving something to B and being reciprocating to A. This we call contract of service. Mostly, many companies, confirmed employees, permanent employees, etc., temporary, etc., all are coming under contract of service. Now, second category, contract for service. Gentlemen, I am the administrator of a very big organization. There is construction work is going on. We are having 500 bags of cement in one location. We want to shift these 500 bags of cement to another site which is far away. I want this work to be done. I am calling a contractor or a one man or arrange to shift this to that location within this time with just security, safety, without losing anything. Time limit is given, and I am also giving money, quantum of money. So time limit is coming. Now this is called contract for service. I am not bothered about who is going to come, who is going to lift the cement, who is going to carry, how he is going to take this by lorry, van, or with persons. I don't know. I am not bothered. I am bothered about the time limit, the safety of the goods and services, and that is very important, not for any other thing. I am not bothered who is going to take it, who is going to carry what, van, which is the van is coming and which is the lorry which is going to carry. No, no. This is called contract for service. I want the service. I'm not bothered about the man who is going to do it. The second category we call normally off service. That means the services are being done from the people who are out of the campus. So anybody can come. They have no relationship with me except payment of fees. This is contract for service. The previous one, I am appointing a man. I am engaging a man. It is contract of service. Now with this background, we are going to see one by one the various features of the new labor codes. Now first code we are going to see, gentlemen, you can write if you want code on wages. Code on wages 2019. This code replaces the following present enactment. 1. Payment of Wages Act 1936, Minimum Wages Act 1948, Payment of Bonus Act 1965, Equal Remuneration Act 1976. These are the laws which are being replaced by the wages code. Now there is another one. I told you about workman, non-workman. Now there is a definition for wages. For it says supervisor who is drawing more than 15,000 per month will be excluded from this code. Those people who are receiving more than 15,000 per month will be excluded from this. Secondly, there is a special feature after so many centuries. See, once upon a time, initially, in 20th century, first portion of 20th century, before the enactment of Payment of Wages Act, employers will make payment monthly or weekly. One part, they will also give physical goods and service which are being manufactured in the company. For example, suppose I am paying 15,000 rupees per month to an employee. I will pay him 12,000 rupees. And if I am a textile mill man, I am the textile employer, I will give balance 3,000 worth of textile cloths to him and he has to sell it and he can get back the money. It's called payment on physical way. Now, new labor wages code says 15% of the wages can be paid in kind. I am making manufacturing machineries. I am manufacturing industrial goods. I am manufacturing textile. 15% can be paid in wages also. In wages as a kind. These are all not applicable to hospital, but we can go through the same. All employer, including those employer who employs more than 1,000 workmen, to pay the wages before 7th. Now the law says 10th. Before 10th we got to pay. Yeah, good. Now all employer, including those employer who employs more than 1,000 workmen, to pay wages before every month. Gentlemen, so far, please listen to me. So far, there are so many formats we have to send all the particulars to government. So many particulars, physical and inspection. Now, thank God, we have to send all the documents online, and your inspection will be web-based inspection scheme. No physical appearance of labor officer, etc. But you will be checked, you will be inspected by web-based inspection scheme here afterwards. Disqualification for receiving bonus if involved in sexual harassment. If a workman is involved in sexual harassment, his bonus will be cut. And now, if your industry or in a hospital, etc., if the labor officer is coming, we are very alert. We do not know what type of report he will write. Now it is web-based. Nobody can challenge you. Nobody can threaten you. If you are following the system carefully, you need not worry about that. And that inspector name is also now called facilitator. The man who facilitates a good relationship between the employer and employee, now he is called facilitator. And the burden of proof, suppose there is a dispute between the employer and the employee about payment of wages, who has to prove it? The employer has to prove that he has paid the money. So the burden of proof is with the employer. And the last good benefit is neither the employer nor the employee can go to the civil court because bar of suits. So no employer can go against an employee in civil side. The same way, the employee cannot go against the employer in civil court. So here, for the hospitals, I would say, here afterwards, the returns are very limited, not like before. We are very, very limited. We are going to see that. Web-based inspection, that means you have to supply and send all the documents in online and keep quiet and happy. You need not worry about the hard copies. And if you send, they'll say, we are not received. How many times we are sending? In reality, it's a headache for the HR department people. There are so many returns we have to file, which is now reduced. It's very easy. Time limit. If I am an employee, I have not received my wages, I have not received the proper wages, then there is a tribunal containing officers. One of the officers is facilitator, and the time limit is 3 months only. Gentlemen, before there was no time limit for an employee to file any case for wages. Now, listen to me very carefully. If the employee has not filed any grievances within 3 months, the time is over. So any grievance for non-receipt of wages, etc., should be brought to the notice of the tribunal within 3 months. Otherwise, his claim will be set aside. And employee, trade union, and an inspector will form a conciliation, form a tribunal. Employee, trade union, and inspector to resolve the dispute about the payment of wages. Third, you can see spread over period. This will slightly affect the employees. Now, what is called spread over period? The Payment of Wages Act says an employee should work 48 hours in a week. The employer can reduce this 48 to 44. That is his discretion. But normally, you are expected to work in an organization minimum 48 hours. Okay. Now, suppose per day, the employer fixes 8 hours duty with a break for lunch, tea, etc. From the time you enter the office and put your attendance and the time you are leaving should be within a span of 10 hours now. This should be whatever your change of work between your entry and till you are leaving the place, within a span of 10 hours, the employer can keep you physically in an office or a company, which we call spread over time, spread over period. Now, to increase our economy, increase our production, the labor code says, no, till 12 hours, an employer can keep his employee. The employer can ask you, within a span of 12 hours, 2 shift also. 2 shift. They can ask me, 6 o'clock morning you come, work for 11 o'clock, then you leave, after you can join at 2 o'clock till it exceeds 12 hours. So slightly, it is a burden on the employee to help the employers and to invite the foreign direct investment. This has been done. Now, hospitals, HRs, you will be happy because you are having more discretion now. The spread over period is 12 hours per day. Under certain conditions, listen to me, last one, under certain conditions, it can be 16 hours also. So one day, within 16 hours, the employer can physically make you be present with few intervals, but the spread over period from one shift to when the time you are leaving should not exceed 16 hours in extraordinary circumstances. This we call, this is not favorable to the at present the employees. Actually, this is very, very tricky. My opinion is not so good, but however, the code says here afterwards, now every state will fix the Minimum Wages Act. Gentlemen, every year there are 3 categories of workmen. Number 1, those workmen working in the corporation area, those workmen working in the municipality, and those in the rural. 3 categories. So their minimum basic wage is the same, but allowance will be different. So every year, due to the cost of index, every state government will increase the cost of the allowance, DNS allowance, and once in 5 years, they will revise the whole minimum wages. That's the present one. Now the central government says, state government need not do it. We are having geographical locations, which we call floor price. Floor, FLOO, or floor prices or floor wages. In Uttar Pradesh, some place will be taken as lowest, highest. Tamil Nadu, they will have a geographical calculation, they say, and according to that, they will calculate for minimum wages, taking a family as 3 adults in a family. 3 adults. And they will take 2,700 calories per day for consumption for these 3 people. 66 meters of cloth per year for standard working class. 66 meters of cloth. 10% housing rent. Food, cloth, etc. 20%. It will make a minimum wages. And all the employers will be asked to give this minimum wages calculated on this basis, gentlemen. This is the rules which have been stipulated in the new code of wages. Now, here, this having so many doubts in the minds of the people, maybe employers, calculation of this is very, very tricky. In one state, we are having different type of places, or even any state. It is very difficult to calculate 3 adults in a family. Nobody can have 3 adults or 4 adults or 5 adults or 2 adults like that. So a family in India, normally in a working class, it will have 5 minimum. Now 2,700 calories per day. And they are going to calculate the cost for, so 2,700 calories. That depends upon the nature of food. 66 meters of cloth. These are, never we got this idea. This is a new idea which has been put forth now. And we do not know how far it will be a real thing, good thing for the employees for the days to come. This we call wages code we have covered. Next we are going to get code on industrial relations. This is very, very important. Industrial relations, code on industrial relations. Now, the industrial relations, the word is very new for us. We always go for industrial dispute here in India. This industrial relations is the word given by the United States of America when they are fighting about the relation between the employer and the employee. Now in India, we are having industrial dispute between 2 people. So you can say, sir, what it mean, industrial relations? It is a relationship between the employer and the employee. It consists of union matters, negotiation, dispute, strike, layoff, retrenchment. These we call industrial relations. This is caused between the employer and the employee. Retrenchment of employees, some group of people were sent out from the hospital, which we call retrenchment. There is a condition, there is allowance, there is a procedure to be followed. Strike. Okay. Now, wage is being fixed for an industry, for an institution. One of the reasons is the bargaining capacity of the union and the employer. Bargaining capacity of the union with the employer also get an increase in wage. So there are so many conditions for wages. So industrial relations between the employer and the employee, we call it the industrial dispute here so far. Now it's a very good new word. which we have adopted, industrial relations. Now, when we enacted the industrial sport, the olden times, etc., there are fast new changing, gentlemen. Change is very fast. Now you can see world of new technology so far. 3-dimension printing. This we never heard of. Next, digital revolution. You can say how technology has grown. I am here in one place at the corner of India. You are all spread over whole India, but we are able to see each other. It is a virtual meeting. You can hear what I am talking. Digital revolution. 5G driverless cars. So driver is not required. Remote surgery. Without the help of the doctor, remote surgery is possible. Slowly, it takes speed. Instantaneous communications. Artificial intelligence. Robotics. Biotechnology. Nanotechnology. There are so many revolutions. Revolution fast. You can say robotics are replacing many industrial workmen. Many industrial workmen. See, in Japan, many robotics, automatic system, it replaces thousands of people. You can say robots replace people, 1,500 for 10,000 persons. So 1,500 various type of robots, it replaces 10,000 workmen. These are the fast change. Now, for agriculture, wealthy landowners, corporations take over the farmers' land and they give a return for that. A lot say. A new paradigm has come in industrial revolution. Have you heard about any strike in India so far? In 70s, if you are seeing the history, 70s, to some extent 80s, there were a frequent newspaper report strike, retrenchment, strike till death strike. There are so many strikes. Many companies were closed. But have you heard about this now? No. Because new technology and human beings are afraid of going on strike because they will be very easily replaced. Engagement of contract rather than permanent workers. Engagement of contract rather than permanent workers. Fixed term contract. Now, gentlemen, this is very, very important for HR. Please listen to me very carefully. In HR in hospital, fixed term contract is now allowed. So far, it was not allowed. One of the judgments in the Madras High Court, a doctor in Indian Council of Medical Research worked for 25 years. But her working period was term appointment. She was working 25 years in the ICMR as a doctor, but when she retired, the ICMR has not paid any retirement benefits because she was not permanent. Ad hoc, term basis, she was working. She went to the High Court, and the High Court says, no worker can be permanently temporary. I repeat, no worker can be permanently temporary, and the ICMR has to settle all the retirement benefits to this doctor, gratuity, bonus if it is allowed, and pension benefits. But now the law has given fixed term contract is permitted and no court can intervene. As on date, this is a new provision and the HR people can take note of. Any people, any category, whether doctor, nurses, clerk, etc., can be engaged as a fixed time contract. Even to my knowledge, many hospitals started now itself, even before implementation, recruiting people for fixed term only. And after the implementation of this act, this code, there will not be any permanent workman in future because we are going to see subsequently all temporary workmen fixed term also they will have gratuity, bonus, etc. as equivalent to the permanent employee. So I am having permanent employees and I am also having fixed term. Both will be paid the same money, and even I am working for 1 year, I will be entitled for gratuity as per the new code. So, fixed term contract is permissible, and even many companies have now even started recruiting people under fixed term contract. It's very important for the people who are working in HR in an hospital. Section 25F of change of management. Here, there is a retrenchment benefit should be paid by the employer, but now this section says you need not worry. Either the new employer or the former employer can pay this. Don't worry about that. So the power of 25FF has been reduced. Part-time employment is allowed now. So if you are not able to work, no, I will pay this money. You come and work and go. Part-time employment is encouraged. Piecemeal work. Employment not in the establishment. Hello, gentlemen, I will pay money. You need not come to my office. You do the job in your home or anywhere else. The place you can choose. You need not physically present in my company, but you have to do the job. Employment not in the establishment is allowed. Departments get outsourced. If I want to have a department with a specialist man, I will outsource that. Let him do it and give me the result. So outsourcing, we call service for, not for service of, you are engaging, contract for service. So contract of service means physically all the people are coming and crowding. I have to give an office, etc., AC, etc., fan, etc., canteen. Now it's not necessary. It is service for contract, service for. So I am not need not engage any people. I want only service. So contract for service, which we call another word outsourcing. Emergence of gold collar and pink collar. Gentlemen, this is a gold collar. The sophisticated employer is called gold collar man. He is always managing and he is a visionary. He is forecasting future development in the company. And pink collar, we call all women employees. Now, as per the new code, the woman can be employed 24 hours night duty also. There was a prohibition before. Now it is lifted in the new labor code. So pink collar work ladies will be coming and they will replace the men folk. Working for union free environment. There will not be any union which we are going to see. Union will be there, but they will not fight. Working for union free environment. No problem, no shouting, but all are given with all procedures. So I would say fixed term employee will receive the same salary of the permanent workman plus all the statutory benefits equivalent to the employee who is permanent. So no grievance. Now, in the industrial relation only with the disputes are coming. Now, inquiry must be completed within 90 days. Now, there's no time limit, gentlemen. HR people, please note. Now, domestic inquiry, all inquiry you have to complete. See, complaint, explanation, short sheet, domestic inquiry, findings of the inquiry, recommendation of the penalty or punishment, show cause notice, second show cause notice, spelling out the punishment, then receiving the explanation, then you are issuing the final order, termination, demotion, etc. Now, these are the punishment, these are the time limit is 90 days. And if the employee is under suspension, you have to pay substance allowance of 50%. And if it is prolonging up to 90 days, 70%. So, if the employee is not cooperating, it can be reduced to 25%. This is a new time limit for discipline action also. Within 90 days, you have to finish. Arbitration provided. You can refer the dispute to arbitration. And gentlemen, here afterwards, any union can be registered. But for calling recognition, calling for arbitration, a union must have 75% of the employees under their union. If they are not having 75% of the employees, they are not recognized and you need not call them for any arbitration. Yeah. Here, You can ask, sir, what happened if there is a dispute? There is the labor court. Gentlemen, listen to me, HR people. The labor court is to be abolished. Now only one tribunal we call industrial tribunal will exist. National industrial tribunal for central government employees, state industrial tribunal for state government employees. So these people can go and file a complaint there in the tribunal. And labor court is to be abolished now. Now, Board of Conciliation was there. It is not going to effective now. Court of Inquiry, Board of Conciliation, Labor Court, all will be taken off. And there is a negotiating council, which we call. There are two officers are there. They will negotiate and settle your dispute. So no court proceedings, no labor court problem for the employer, and very easy for the employer now to tackle the labor problem. So it is very beneficial for the employer. These are the shortcut methods given for the employees. Now, Code of Occupational Safety. Third labor code is occupational safety. One registration for all establishments. If I am having 10, I am the owner, having 10 units, only one registration. National Occupational Safety and Advisory Board will be there. Have a safety committee, women employees to work in a single license for factory for 5 years. Abolition of all the formalities now. There are too many licenses, and it is 2 years, 3 years, now it is 5 years, single license, online, very easy. This is very important, gentlemen. Code on Social Security. Please listen to me very carefully. It replaces the Employees Compensation Act. This is called Workmen's Compensation Act before. Now it is called Employees Compensation Act 1923. The Employees State Insurance Act 1948. The Employees Provident Fund and Miscellaneous Provisions Act 1952. The Employment Exchange Compulsory Notification Act 1959. One code is replacing all that. The Maternity Benefit Act 1961, Payment of Gratuity Act 1972, the Cine Workers Welfare Fund Act 1981, the Building and Other Construction Act 1996, the Unorganized Workers Social Security Act 2008. Here, Maternity Benefit Act is also comes under the Social Security. Now, all these acts were replaced by one code, which we call Code of Social Security. These are all beneficial. These are all beneficial piece of legislation to support the workmen, which we call Social Security. This is very important. Worker hired through the contractor to be employed. You can hire any number of employees under a contract. Engagement of an employee on the basis of a written agreement. Listen to me very carefully, HR people. In hospital also, engagement of an employee on the basis of a written agreement for a fixed period. This is a revolution in the labor code. You can engage, as I told you before, you can engage an employee for a fixed period. I read it. Engagement of an employee on the basis of a written agreement for a fixed period. Wages, allowances, and other benefits not less than the other regular employees for the contract people also. They are entitled for gratuity for all, just like all the other employees. The people who are working under a contractor, he is a plumber, he is under contractor. You have to pay equal remuneration which you are paying to your regular contract. Plumber, the same salary or for the similar work. So, entitled for even 1 year, you have to give gratuity. 1 year, bonus you have to pay. Now, nowadays, bonus is being paid for regular employees. Now, even for contract workers, you are having a contract with a man for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Every year you have to pay bonus. Every year you have to pay gratuity, just like other employees. As per law now, an employee is entitled to receive the gratuity only after completion of 5 years of service minimum. It is replaced now. So every workman is beneficial. Last, entitled for gratuity for all the employees. Next, this is very nice legislation. It's a gig worker, platform worker, online worker. So what is this GAG worker? It should be pronounced gig worker. These people actually, people who are not regularly employed by employer, but his services are utilized. For example, suppose I am having a company, large area. I am having an electrician who is not employed under my role, but every now and then, if there is a problem, he will come and attend, which we call gig worker or gig man, gig worker. For a plumber, electrician, mechanic, I am having 5 or 6 vehicles in my company. I don't have a automobile mechanic. I will call him, he will come and fit the matter quickly. He is not my regular employee. So this code includes this man also, and it collects some money and all the benefits are being given to gig worker also. Platform worker. Platform worker, you know, Zomato, Swiggy. They are neither the employee of the hotel or the service provider, nor the employee of the online company also. They are in between. But they are working. They are going to the hotel, waiting there with the uniform, goes, collects, and reaches the residence, and they delivers. But they are not the employees of Swiggy, as well as they are not the employees of Zomato. At the same way, they are not employees of the hotel also. But these employees will be covered under the new labor code, under social security, and they will also be included and they will be enrolled, and some amount of money will be collected and they will get all the benefits. Online worker. I want some work to be done. I do not know how to operate computer. I want some work under the computer. I am giving to some person. Regularly he is working me. He is an online worker. I want to renew my passport. I do not know how to get a date in the External Affairs Ministry, Passport Office. You have to fill up many forms, and a person is doing that. And he gets me the date, I am going, I am getting the new passport. He is the man who helped me, which we are called online workers. These all the employees are also included and brought under the purview of labor code. Next, applicability. For all contract workmen, all these employees, PF employee, establishment employees, ESI also, establishment employing 20%. So any employer who is employing more than 20 persons, you have to take PF. ESI, establishment employs more than 10 persons. Maternity, factory, establishment, shops who employ 10 plus. Employees compensation. Next, yeah. All except ESI contributors. So employees with Workmen's Compensation Act. So employees compensation will be given to all workmen, whatever the category. Gratuity, all people, including the categories which I enumerated: temporary, contract, fixed term. All the people will get gratuity. Social security, applicability, unorganized workers, gig workers, platform workers, all these category will get the social security applicability. So here, the platform workers, online platform directly to individuals, a person works directly to a person is also called gig work. Gig workers is generally a light carriage pulled by one person. Short-term, temporary, independent worker, one variety of employees, musical performance, etc., etc. There are some people who are always perform music. So in a month, only 3 or 5 days they will play music. They perform. They are employed in one way, But another way, they are not having regular work. These all categories are brought under the wages social security code. So here, to bring this discussion to a conclusion, very constructive conclusion, I would say, I will recapture it. One, as a HR person, your botheration with trade union is lessened now. A recognized trade union must have 75% of the employees engaged by the company, which is very, very rare to find in Indian scenery. So your headache, in one headache, union problem is over. There is another code which I will not discuss, one rule. If the union is registered, if a union is functioning, if they are not following the procedures which are enumerated in the Trade Union Act, now they are allowed to perform. But according to the new code, if they don't file the returns properly, I am talking about trade union, if they are not filing the returns properly, their registration can be cancelled by the government on the recommendation of the employer. So HR, another headache is over. 3, A is an employee. He will be working very nicely when he is in the probation. He will be very kind. He will be faithful. He will be efficient. For a good employee, 3 characters are given, 3 characteristics are given in the payment of gratuity act. An employee must be good with relation to all the people. He should behave properly with the colleagues. He has to behave properly with the superior and subordinate people. 360 HR. But now the HR people, if he is not doing his job properly, you have to take disciplinary action. Now the employee who is working properly needs no disciplinary action. But there are some employees who have to take disciplinary action. Here also, fixed term employment gives a large advantage to the HR people who are working here. Because now the same employee A who was working very nicely during the probation period is not working properly once he gets the confirmation order. Do you accept that or not? It is a human trend that when you are in temporary or probation, you will work nicely, honestly, efficiently. Once you are confirmed, your work performance comes down. So here, believe me, after some time, there will not be any confirmed employees because the law itself allows that fixed time employment is necessary and the HR people can hire them for a fixed period. And if their performance is not good, they can cut that without any retrenchment benefit, without any notice. As per the new code, no notice required. Because if it's a contract employment, the employee knows the last working day before he joins the company itself. I repeat, in a contract of employment for a fixed period, the employee knows the last working day in the company before he joins the company itself. That's why no notice period, no retrenchment, very easy for the HR people. Next point, very advantage is disciplinary action. Now disciplinary action is also, it will be very less because if you are employing them for a fixed period, there's no necessity of taking disciplinary action. You can ask them, you have to relieve them. 2 years, working good, you keep them. If you are not working, send them. Why you are taking disciplinary action? The headache of sending a complaint, receiving a complaint, order for a domestic inquiry, engaging an external man for an inquiry, all is now relieved. So very, very easy. At the same time, there are some good advantages. Temporary, fixed term, all the people get statutory benefits, number 1. Number 2, if they are working very efficiently, their contract, there are many employers, they will hire them. 3, even I'm working for 1 year, gratuity will be paid to me. I need not worry. What's the way of waiting? If I'm working 3 years, 3 years gratuity. 4 years, 4 years gratuity. Why should I serve for only one company? I can go to any company if I am a talented man. So for a workman, it is very easy. 5, the labor court is abolished. Only industrial tribunal, officers disposal, within 90 days, your dispute will be disposed. And easy adjudication methods are there. But gentlemen, only one point I am not so happy, that is fixing the minimum wages for the employee. There are so many galleries, some cloth, etc., which I am not so happy. Second, payment of 15% of the wages as kind to the workman is unfounded, which is not appropriate in this modern days. Olden days, they were paying in kind. But nowadays, if you are paying in kind, who will take that? It is called 15%. I do not know who has recommended this one and how the parliament, its own wisdom, has done that. I am very sorry. So we do not know the outcome, how the state governments will take it, etc. So it is, if the labor codes are put to use, then we will come to understand what are the plus points, what are the minus points. If you are having any doubts, questions, you can send it to me. You can ask me also. Thank you for patient hearing. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Samuel Abraham. And I'm sure each one of the person present today have learned a lot. And it may take some time for us to assimilate all the huge changes and knowledge.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That has been given by you. In fact, I'll request you also to probably we'll do some focused write-ups on some of these issues that we will circulate with our members, so we can have some questions, some case scenarios.
I hope that after the implementation of the 4 codes, dear sir,
yes.
After the implementation, we can have one lecture for each code. So I will be discussing in detail. Now I have given a bird's eye view about all the codes, plus points and minus points, etc.
So I think let us at least be prepared to see that when are these codes being implemented. And in the meantime, there are some questions are,
yes, sir.
That harassment at workplace goes under which code, or something sexual harassment?
Yes, yes, yes.
So where will it be? Which court will listen to it? It will be like in
industrial relations only. There will be a conciliation meeting. There's a council. They say council, it will go. Any dispute.
Okay.
Including that.
So then they're saying that temporary employee in hospital salaries above 15,000, will it be eligible for PF or EPF?
Okay, they are excluded, sir. They are not included. It is their option.
Okay. So
even now, it's an option. The employee and the employer can choose it. If they want to join, even now they can join, because they are excluded employees as per law.
Okay. Then actually the government has passed some order for wages, and IMA has filed case opposing that. Now the hospital has to follow the government order or not?
Sir, as I informed lately, there is an Industrial Dispute Act. There is a definition for industry. Originally, it excluded all the education universities, education institutions, society, hospitals, etc. Originally in the Act. Subsequently, in 1984, in Bangalore Water Supply Sewerage versus Rajappa case, the Supreme Court extended that, and it gave a very detailed inclusion criteria for the word industrial dispute. So we had lot of problems because of this, because very small employers has to face all the arbitration, etc., union, etc. Now, in between 84 the parliament enacted another law excluding hospital, education institutions, university, club, etc., etc. But that amendment was not notified. That amendment is not notified in the official gazette because at that time Communist Party was dominant in the union government. Now, regarding that, there are some cases in the Supreme Court, and the latest one I'm telling, in 2017, a larger bench is constituted to decide whether this industrial dispute definition is correct or not. But before that, in 2019, the new labor code has come. Now, perhaps it becomes infructuous for the Supreme Court because new labor code has come. It has given some provisions. So, we have to wait and see what happens.
If a contract employee is taken for a project, which is for 5 years and appointed on a yearly basis and renewed every year until the project completes, will he be eligible for gratuity? You already said that under the new law, he is eligible for gratuity.
Sir, I will explain about the present situation and the future situation.
Yeah.
The present situation, when you are recruiting people for a project, from the advertisement itself, from the appointment order itself, you have to say the duration of employment is coterminous with the project period. I repeat, your employment in this project is coterminous with the duration of the project. So 3 years means your employment only for 3 years. So you are spelling out the duration. Then as per present enactment, the Gratuity Act is not applicable for them.
Yes,
the Retrenchment Act is not applicable for them. We are not retrenching. We are informing in advance. Before employment, we are telling only 3 years will be here. So it is not applicable. As per the new wages code, as per the new social security code, they are eligible for gratuity and all the statutory benefits, compensation, etc., etc.
But in future, it will be applicable as like.
Yes, sir. If it is implemented.
Yes. Kindly clarify once the employee availed maternity benefits.
Okay, sir.
6 months leave and something salary from ESI Act, whether the employer is liable to pay further to the same employee.
No, sir. If the woman employee is a member of the ESIC, the employee need not pay any benefit. The woman employee must contribute for that. Every organization is liable for providing bonus to all. Okay. Sir, as per law, present law, bonus is not payable by the hospitals. But there were some individual cases, it's not a general case, individual cases where if there is an industrial unit in an hospital, if an hospital is manufacturing medicine, if the hospital is having some maintenance contract, then that portion will be included for the bonus, not for others. And if an hospital is having a settlement with the union, then in other name or the same name, they will pay bonus. But bonus is not payable by the hospital administration as per the provisions of payment of bonus act. Hospital under shop and yes, hospital. 1 minute. The question is there whether hospital under shops and establishment act. Yes, the hospitals comes under shops and establishment act of the state government wherever there is an enactment. If you are in Haryana, if you are in Punjab, if you are in MP, if you are in Tamil Nadu, every state has enacted shops and establishment act. Two things are found: separate chapter for shops, separate chapter for the establishment. So hospital comes under establishment. You can see hospital is also included there.
Can an institution employing 100+ employees stick with providing only 3 months maternity leave for its female employee? What are the legal implications of not providing 6 months paternity leave?
No, sir. Latest law is it need not have 100 employees. Any establishment which are employing more than 10 employees, you have to pay maternity benefit. It is not a maternity leave. No, we should never call it as maternity leave because it is not a subject to approval. It is automatic. The law says maternity is a universal beneficial and all the employers has to give maternity benefit equivalent to their salary for 6 months.
Okay. So can you deny her leave and give her the benefit?
No. Maternity, no. That's why in the act, the whole act, if you read it, no place you can see maternity leave. In the whole maternity benefit act, if you read the act, no word is found as leave. Only it's a benefit calculated and computed equivalent to the wages. Sir, I want to give some money to this lady, woman, who is giving birth to a child. To calculate that, I am equating to the salary.
No. So my corollary question is that this lady, can she say that I am not taking any leave? So you give me the additional 6 months compensatory benefit?
Yes. Sir, my humble answer is no. Definite no. If you are doing that, you will be punished. Employer will be punished. Not the workman.
Okay.
For example, sir, I am telling, there's a casualty, an injured person is coming. There are some, there are injuries that are there. So the doctor is seeing that he is trying to resuscitate. He want to help the patient. He started his treatment. At the same time, he has to report this to the police because it comes under medical legal case. Sir, we are bound by law, so we have to obey the law only, not the people.
Yeah, okay. So if an allegation of sexual harassment is brought against an outside contract worker who comes into the workplace or on an employment of service basis, not a direct employee of the organization, what implication does it have for the internal complaints committee at the workplace?
Now there's a law which is called Contract Employment Act, which says if a contract employee is working in your campus, you are engaging a contractor, labor contractor who supplies labor, he should be registered with the labor office with your recommendation letter, and he has to get a license to that. Once he gets a license from the labor department, you have to allow him to work in your campus. The license, you should not permit him to work, number one. Number two, the principal, you are called principal employer. He is a contractor. So the contractor has to pay all the statutory benefits, including bonus, etc., etc. If he fails to pay, you are responsible. So that is why every month the HR people has to get the clearance from the contractor, whether he paid the PF, whether he paid all ESI, etc., etc. Get a copy, then they have to advise the accounts people to pay the contractor fees. So unless you receive if you verify all these matters, suppose last month you are releasing the fund. Last month performance, you are releasing the fund to the contractor. Before releasing the money, you have to check whether he remitted the EPF, he remitted for ESI, he paid all this, then only you have to release the check. Because you are responsible.
I think, no. The question was that there was a case of a sexual harassment against this contract employee. Yes, I think the internal committee of the hospital will have to look into it because, as you said, you are the principal employer.
Yeah. My answer is very easy. The principal employer has to do it.
Yeah.
Because the cause of action arises from his company. Cause of action is very important. There's a question, if there is a complaint against our employee by the contract employee, how to do it? There is a complaint between the workman of the contractor as well as our employee. How to deal that? You have to call the contractor, talk to him, ask him to send away that fellow. If there is a problem with the man, you can just talk to him. You should not have any dealings. I repeat, as per the Contract Act now, you should not have any contract with the employee of a contractor. If there is any deficiency of service, anything, you have to talk to the top level management of the contractor, not the workman. If you are having any dealings with the workman, he becomes your employee. You should be very careful. Yeah.
Yes.
Because we are engaging him for service. We are concerned about the service only. We are not concerned about the person. The moment the fellow is not behaving, ask him to remove. That's all. If the workman of a contractor is not behaving properly, just phone him, his boss, take him away. That's all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Samuel. And we really appreciate your efforts in this.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.